Yeah, I'll react to that, sure. Hi, guys. My name's Connor if you're new. Hello. Hope everyone's doing swell. Let's watch a video. French versus American homes. 12 differences. Sure. Let's do it. Channel name. Men and Bee Travels. Cool. Nice house.
American versus French houses. If you ever wonder kind of what are the difference, well, it's good because today I'm going to talk about them in this video. If you don't know, I am French. I did grow up in France.
I can hear her, but just in case other people can't.
Currently American versus French houses. If you ever wonder kind of what are the difference, well, it's good because today I'm going to talk about them in this video. If you don't know, I am French. I did grow up in France. I currently also am in France, but I also lived about 5 years in the United States. So I did live in American houses and in French houses. So I've seen quite a lot of differences, and I thought it would be fun for me to share some of them with you today.
A common, I guarantee, is going to be in the video. It's in all of these videos of American versus European houses. Is thickness of walls, where walls over here are kind of just wood 2x4 beams, some insulation, and then some plaster, and so you could easily like punch through it if you really wanted to, but I hear that there are a lot more like brick, stone, sturdy walls in French homes.
So first we're going to talk a bit about outside the house, because the first thing I found when I was in the US was the open yards. In France, a lot more yards are fenced in. When you will come over here, you will see that. And in the US, a lot more yards are open, I guess. So of course it depends if you're more in the city or if you're more in the country. However, even if you compare suburbs, you will see in the US usually a lot more yards are open yards, whereas in France everything is closed in and fenced in. So I think just because you have a lot more space, so between your neighbor you have a lot more space, where we don't have that, so everything is fenced in, I guess. So it was one of the first things I found when I was in the US. Number two are...
Yeah, of course, like she said, it's probably different if you're more rural and have more open space, but that is a common thing, difference I hear. Even hearing from other countries about U.S. homes.
I guess. So it was one of the first things I found when I was in the US. Number two are mailbox. So yes, mailbox are quite different. First, the design is different. American boxes are usually rectangle, they're on a stick by themselves. Whereas in France, because we have fence, they are usually in the fence, and they are usually squared. So it's not the same design. Ours are usually in metal, whereas you guys have like thick plastic mailbox, I guess, and
usually metal, but I'm sure sometimes plastic.
Of course, there are mostly standards as well. Like in the US, most people have the same mailbox. In France, we also have mostly the same mailbox. Another thing about the mailbox, which was really weird for me because we don't have that in France, is just a little red flag you have to send mail out. So I didn't know what it was before, because like I said, in France we don't have that. You cannot send mail out with your mail.
Somehow I didn't know that. I thought that was like a way for someone to know if their mailbox has stuff in it. Like you would leave it down and then the mailman would come over, put mail in, and then flick it up just to let you know that there's mail in your mailbox. But that's a guess. I didn't learn that. I just figured that's what it was. I've never mailed something from a mailbox. I'd mail it from one of those, either in a post office, or I don't know if you guys have these in Europe, but some of the blue kind of trash can, big trash can looking things that you open up and slide in.
what it was before, because like I said, in France we don't have that. You cannot send mail out with your mailbox, you just can get your mail in. But in the US, if you're not from the US, basically you have a little red flag on top of the mailbox. It allows you to put it up if you want to send out some mail, and your mailman will see the little flag up and you will go to your mailbox to get your mail, which is really interesting, because we don't have that. And yeah, so I thought it was kind of funny.
You taught me something there.
Number 3 are the outside of the house in general, the design. So the first thing I found was, usually in France we have more levels. So for example, in France most houses, at least for example around me in my town, more houses are like 3 floors on top of the basement, of course, but we have 3 floors. But the floor, I guess the space on the floor is smaller. But in the US where I was, the space on the floor, the ground was a lot larger, but you had less levels, like for example 2 floors plus the basement, instead of 3 or 4. But it was kind of longer, and a lot of houses also had actually 1 floor. So that's one thing. Also, the look of the houses are a lot different. So in France we still have that kind of like older kind of look with the rock showing from the house, and in the US more that modern look, which a lot of
way worse is what she means. Beautiful houses with history and personality and nice material versus
from the house, and in the US more that modern look,
mass-produced houses,
which a lot of houses also had like that plastic tiles all over. Number 5 are shutters. So
hold on, I wanted to say something. When she said, I was a little surprised that the houses had more floors in Europe for most houses, but I wanted to say
floor, I guess the space on the floor is smaller, but the 3 floors on top of the basement, of course, but we have 3 floors. But the floor, I guess the space on the floor is smaller. But in the US where I was, floors on top of the basement, of course, but we have 3 floors. But the floor, I guess the space on the floor is smaller. But in the US where I was.
Oh, I'm an idiot. I misheard her. I thought I heard her say that we have more floors, and the floor on the bottom is usually smaller than the second or third floor, and that didn't make sense. But she didn't mean that. So American houses are more usually long and wide, whereas French houses are more, they go upward instead of sideways. Okay.
That's one thing, like all this more, but those 5 are shutters. So in France we have these huge shutters in front of our windows outside the house. So usually they are made out of metal, but in the older times sometimes
wood.
They were made out of wood. However, maybe more modern, like new houses being built don't always have shutters, but my house is like a little older, not that old, but a little older, so it still have shutters. Many houses still have shutters. You will see them a lot in France, even though a lot of new houses don't have them. So what do they do basically? The first thing is they keep your house cool. So during the summer, you kind of close them up so the sun doesn't get in your house, so your house keep cool. Also, it kind of helps with like break-in and stuff like that, because it just blocks the window, so you cannot break in. You can break the window. It's like really hard. Because basically you shut the shutters and you close them from the inside. So from the outside you cannot do anything. It's like these huge metal shutters. So it just helps with like keep your house cool, help with break-in, and yeah. So you will see that a lot.
That's interesting. Like, you see what I have right here? That right there? Like, that's just a shade, There's no shutters on the outside, but I just pull it up if I want light, put it down if I want more, privacy or less light. Do you guys not have those as much, or do you have the shades and the shutters sometimes?
In France as well, and I think they are just really cute, so I don't know, it gives a little bit of charm to the house. So number 6 is something we don't really have in France, but I've seen a lot in the United States, are screens. So it's like little screens you have on your windows or your doors to prevent from mosquitoes. So it's really cool because you can have your window open, so have your air coming in, but you still have that mosquito shutter, so you can open your window but still don't have the mosquitoes coming in. And same with the door, like you sometimes have double doors, like you have the actual door.
Yeah, sometimes you do have that. I think screens on windows are more popular. I have screens on my windows right here, especially in the summer, just when you want a nice breeze but don't want all the bugs coming in. It's nice to have the screens.
And then you have that little screen mosquito door where it's the same. You can have your door open.
I love her accent and the way she says some things, like mosquito.
Mosquito door where it's the same. You can have your door open and have the air coming in, see outside, but still have that mosquito can't get in, which is really cool, and I think it's awesome. I mean, it makes total sense. We don't have them really here. I never seen them in France, at least where I live. Maybe more on the countryside. Maybe some people have them. I really don't know. But yeah, so I thought that was really cool. Number 7. Now we're going to go inside the house.
I don't know if this is a lie, but I heard that like the United Kingdom doesn't have mosquitoes, or a lot of mosquitoes, which I find hard to believe, but I heard that from one person. I know this is a French video, not a UK video, but I just wanted to say that.
But yeah, so I thought that was really cool. Number 7, now we're going to go inside the house from now on. So the first huge thing I found in the US was air conditioning. So it might seem crazy to you because in the US it's everywhere, but in France we don't really have that much air conditioning. It's not as common and as normal than it is in the US. So in the US I've seen it everywhere. I mean, where I was in PA, where it's not the warmest state, I mean, during the summer it can get pretty hot, but it's not like Arizona or Utah or some other states that are really hot. But there was still air conditioning pretty much everywhere. So number 8 are power.
I'd say that the US in general just does get a lot hotter than places in Europe. I'm sure places like southern Italy and southern Spain, southern Portugal, Greece, I'm sure have very warm times, right? But I think for the whole, the US just can get a lot hotter. I know because we're also much more further south than you guys, but I know that because of the Gulf Stream that goes clockwise from the Caribbean, east coast of the United States, and up towards Europe, makes Europe have a much warmer, more temperate climate than it would have otherwise. But I'd still say it probably still gets much hotter over here.
Power outlets. So if you don't tuning pretty much everywhere. So number 8 are power outlets. So if you don't know, we don't have the same voltage in France and the United States. So if you do come to France, or if you're French and you go to the US, of course you need to have adapters. I don't know how to put it, because it's not the same voltage and it's not even the same design of the outlets. So you do need to be careful with that, because
guys, I'm sorry, I had to reach for my water there. Sorry.
Pretty much everywhere. So number 8 are power outlets. So if
Classic.
you don't know, we don't have the same voltage in France and the United States. So if you do come to France, or if you're French and you go to the US, of course you need to have adapters. I don't know how to put it, because
said it right.
It's not the same voltage and it's not even the same design of the outlets. So you do need to be careful with that, because if you bring, for example, something from here, so like
sorry guys, I was gonna bring up a picture of the different outlets, but then I realized that she shows it in a second. So
if you bring, for example, something from here, so like a hair dryer or something like that, it would not work as well, or it would maybe work, or it might be a bit dangerous if you use it from a French one in the US or in the American one in France, because it's not the same voltage, so they're not.
Yeah, depending, I'm sure if your whatever you're using, like a hair dryer, is built for more low voltage, and then you go to another country that is higher voltage, then it could be a problem, and vice versa. It just might not work as well.
They're not made for the same voltage. Also, the power outlets are different. So here in France, like 3 little holes, I guess, round holes, but in the US, if I remember correctly, it's 2 holes, and it's more like thin little rectangle one. So I will insert pictures to show you. But so it's not the same design of the power outlet, and it's not the same voltage. So
wait a second. Are there 2 holes and then this one too? So in the female part of the male part of your the thing that you're trying to plug in, the cord, does it have two spikes and then one hole on it? And so like the spikes in and then this goes in. Does that make sense?
Little holes, I guess, round hole. It's more like steel outlet and it's not the same voltage, so just something to know. So number 9 is kind of random, but I've seen it everywhere and it just kind of bothers me because it's just a weird difference, but it's everywhere. It's doorknobs. So why am I talking about doorknobs? It's just because in the US, I've seen doorknobs I never seen in France actually, which is just so random.
Curious what
In
ones.
France, every handle I've ever seen in my life, it's a handle, like lever kind of handle.
Right.
But in the US, almost everywhere I went, a lot of places at least, it was like round doorknob with like, if you want to put the keys like right in the middle. And yeah, it's just so random, but it's like a difference I've seen that kind of bothered me because like when sometimes you still use two doorknobs with levers, like it's so weird to just turn like a round doorknob, it's just not the same.
Rather than just like press it down, you have to. That's interesting. I would never have guessed that. We have both of them. But these are definitely more common. And I'm surprised that these aren't used much in Europe at all. I mean, every single doors has this one.
Put this in that it's so weird to just turn like a round doorknob. It's just not the same thing you do with your hand. So every time I kind of was like, I don't know, just at first I guess I was kind of bothered by it because I couldn't just push on it. I had to turn with the handle. I don't know, I just thought it was weird and kind of funny. So yeah, you will see doorknobs are quite different.
The thing that I do love about these doorknobs is that if your hands are full, like you don't have a free hand, you can just do like the elbow move, right? Which is, with this, you can't. You need a hand to actually turn it.
Number 10 are floors. So usually in France you will see a lot more like wooden floors or tile floors, but in the US I've seen a lot more carpets, I guess. A lot of people add carpet, especially in more the main living areas like your living room, even your
TV
bedroom,
room.
stuff like that. You will have carpet usually a lot of time, where you in France you will not see that very much. I mean, at least where I've been, in all the houses I've been, I don't see that many people with like carpeting. A lot of people have, like I said, either tiles or wooden floors. So for example,
I'm used to living in houses with wooden floors. Of course, you have carpets around the house that aren't like, built into the ground. But I know what she's talking about. You know, a lot of houses have that.
in my bedroom, it's a wooden floor. So I prefer like wooden floor just because
Me
I
too.
think it's so pretty, it's just beautiful, and just so much easier to clean. However, carpeting is fun just because it's like soft and it's nice if you have kids to play with and stuff like that. It's easier on like a carpet. However, it's so hard to clean, and I think it's kind of dirty because it's just not. You can't really clean it that much.
True. What is diabolical is sometimes if there's like a carpeting in a bathroom, that's a bit gross for me. Just perfect bacteria.
But a wooden floor are just so nice to clean. So I don't know, which one do you prefer? I guess if you
Wood.
want in the US, maybe carpet. I don't know. I feel like it probably depends also where.
Oh, okay. I like wood in everywhere, and I like tile in bathrooms, maybe kitchens, but definitely bathrooms, tiles.
You are in the US, but at least in PA where I was, and I even went to other states where I've seen houses with a lot of carpeting. So not everyone has carpet, but a lot more than I've seen in France, for example. So number 11, our bathrooms, more toilets, I guess. We
Bidet.
don't really have our toilets in our bathroom. Usually they are separated most of the time.
So like you have a washroom and a toilet room.
Every time, but most of the time most houses have their toilets separated from the bathroom, and I think it's so much better because I don't really like in the US where the toilet is inside the bathroom, because I think one, it's kind of annoying because if it's not separated, like if someone goes to to the toilet, well, they block the entire bathroom. You can go to the bathroom. In France, you can do both. You can have someone in the toilet, someone in the bathroom. Plus, I think like the toilet is kind of gross, you know, it doesn't smell good and all that stuff. So I think it's nice that it has its own little room. So it's just to do your thing. You have a window and just the toilet, and you have your bathroom that is all nice and clean.
Yeah, it's not great. Like if you live with your family or a lot of people where they just went to the bathroom and you need to take a shower, and so when they're done, it smells in there and it's not pleasant. I agree with that there too.
So yeah, in the US, it's usually in all the houses I've been to, the toilets were inside the bathroom, whereas in France, most of the time, not all the time, but most of the time, they are separated in separated rooms. So the last one I'm going to talk about, number 12, are kitchen aisles. So I've seen a lot more kitchen aisles in the US than we have in France, and I think actually, I believe in France, if you have one, you call it like an American aisle or an American kitchen. If
I don't really know what she means by aisle.
you have it like that, so an like open kind of kitchen with like a big kitchen aisle in it. It's called an American kitchen, I believe. But yeah, it's something we don't really have in France. Most of the time you will not have any kitchen aisle in France, but in the US, not everyone has them, of course, because I think you need to have a lot of space and it's probably kind of expensive too. But a lot, at least, is a lot more common, I guess, in the US than in France. So it's just something I found in the US, which I think is so nice. I mean, the kitchen aisle is amazing, but yeah, we don't really have them in France.
I now understand what she means by aisle. Like, it's not just like a dead end area. Yeah, I guess, you know, if you're designing your kitchen yourself and you have a bit more money, then yeah, it's nice. What I do like about the kitchen aisle, as she says, or the island, is that it won't be as like claustrophobic, crowded if there are multiple people in the kitchen. Whereas if it's just a dead end kitchen, then it's going to be harder to work with other people. It's also nice to eat on the island as well. So interesting.
But in the US, a lot more people have them. I actually made an entire video about French kitchen, what we have in our French kitchen, and a few differences we have between American kitchens and French kitchens. So go watch that if you're interested in knowing a little more about the small differences between both countries. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments, and I'll see you next time for another video about France, the US, traveling, I don't know, something fun. So see you next time. Bye.
Goodbye. Love the French accent. I think it's a beautiful accent. It's a great video. Is there anything that she said that I disagree with? The mailbox. Oh yeah, I wanted to say something about the mailbox, actually. This reminds me of, did you guys have Blockbuster? Blockbuster was probably closed like 20 years ago now. But was huge in like the 90s, early 2000s. And when you'd rent a movie, and when you go to return it, you don't go inside to return it. There's just this box outside that looks just like this, where you just slide the movie in. And that reminded me of it. It gave me nostalgia there. Exterior, I mean, European houses are just better looking and more well built. So the screens is one that I would hate not to have the screen. So I'm glad we do have those. Power outlets, I mean, I think American power outlets have a tendency to come out of the socket, like if you pull on it a little bit by accident, and that could be a little dangerous sometimes. And the European type outlets, they look like they're more sturdy and would stay in easier, so I like those. Doorknobs, whatever, like I said, this doorknob is great when your hands are full, because you can still open it. Floors, 100% agree with her. Bathrooms, I think is a good idea to have the toilet in its own room. And yeah, so love y'all. Hope you're all doing well. Would appreciate any comments down below. What did you think? Yeah, you guys are always awesome in the comments. Hopefully I'll see you guys next time. We'll keep on learning. Bye, guys.